Yo, what's up, everyone? I'm just getting started. If you're joining the stream, just say hi in chat so I know you're here. I'm gonna just do a little bit of tweaking here to set up my screens. By the way, there is some construction in the background, so you might hear some background noise, which sorry about that. Okay, so chat is working. Sai, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Sometimes I can't really tell because the YouTube numbers are glitchy, but if it looks like there might be two people here. If you're shy, it's okay. You don't have to feel pressured to say anything. But you could also just say hi. Just say hi if you're here and let me know you're here. Welcome to the stream, Sai. And I'm going to guess that most people that are here, if you're coming in now, you guys are here because of the December SATs. So everybody, send me your predicted scores. How well do you think you did on reading and writing? And how well do you think you did on math? Morbid, good to see you again. All right. So while we just get started, I just woke up, or I kind of was awake for a bit because I had really bad sleep today. Terrible sleep. So I'm just gonna get my brain started by kind of going through. Let me just do a Wordle real quick. Meanwhile, I'm gonna wait for people to share their scores. Actually, is there like a little announcement feature I could use? Start a poll, start a Q&A. Let me try this because I actually don't know. What scores are you predicting? All right, I'm gonna just post this and see how that. Oh, there is something annoying with this feature. If you do this feature, then it kind of covers. I guess it's doable, right? You can still sort of see. Um, you can still sort of see everything. Yeah, yeah. This is doable. It's not bad, right? So I'll let that. If somebody hates this little feature, just let me know. But anyway, I'm gonna just keep that message pinned and see what happens there. Uh, hey, bro, dude, I need to learn how to write. Is that you? Is that a you last name? I can't tell. All right. Anyway, hey, guy with the Chinese characters. Welcome to the stream. Uh, and morbid 1500 plus for reading. Oh, okay. Maybe closer to like a 800, 700 split for morbid. Um, what was hard for you? And if you have any questions, by the way, on grammar vocabulary, I can also help you process just general grammar vocabulary stuff. So if you have any questions that are sort of lingering in your mind about like how certain phrases work or how certain sentence like or combination of sentence like might mean something, I can help you suss that out. And that's just obviously not just for morbid; it's for anybody that has questions. And besides that, if anyone's sort of like you got your scores, or you don't have your scores, obviously. You did you did the test. You finished. You performed better or worse than you expected compared to like maybe whatever plan you had going in. Now you're not sure what to do next. Let me know what questions you have, and I can try to give you some advice on how to think about your next step. When you ask me like advice question for the next step, I do really need to know what school year you're in, because if it really depends on whether you're a senior or not a senior, and like if this was like your first time taking the test or like your eighth time taking the test, these are relevant details. It helps me to give you better advice. Ooh, the synthesis questions were hard. Notebook problems were hard. So when you say notebook problems, I'm like 99% sure you're talking about synthesis questions, which are the questions at the very end of the reading writing. But when you say research analysis, I think you mean the synthesis questions too, right? You're just using two different words for the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. They can be a little tricky, which is why I don't. Some of you who are like, who've like watched all of my videos. There's everyone like, every once in a while you get somebody who's watched like everything I've talked about. You'll know that I am not against the sort of current meta of like, hey, you don't have to actually read the notes. You can just read the question and the answer choices only and still get the answer. And that's the meta. The meta, quote unquote, the meta doesn't really encourage you to look at the notes. You'll know that I've always been a little bit skeptical. And I have a longer explanation for why I think it's maybe not the optimal strategy, even though that might be the current meta. And it really comes into play when they start getting creative with the questions. And there are ways to write that question where they're kind of gonna force you to read the notes. Okay, uh, so so my sort of recommendation is, even if you are quote unquote wasting like, I don't know, like 15 seconds per question. Um, my safe strategy for the 800 scores would be to just read the notes first anyway. Uh, because even though you might waste 15 seconds per question, uh, the likelihood of you not making an accidentally kind of stupid mistake on a synthesis question is worth that time investment. Okay, if you're an 800 score, but for most people, it's okay, honestly, to not read the notes. Like, if you're not, I mean, even for 800 scores, it's also it's arguably okay to not read the notes, at least not at first, right? So I'm kind of iffy about that strategy, but I do think there is a safe strategy. Uh, Morbid Galaxy says it was weird. You don't usually struggle. Here, I'm not even doing Wordle, so here, back to my face. They use different stats, so you have to refer back to the notes. Ice pores. Oh, you had to guess. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. We can come back to that in a bit, but two other people shared their scores, so I just want to shout out the scores. So one of you guys went from high 1400s to low. Oh no, you're predicting somewhere around 1500. Assuming a sort of Chinese background, okay, with Asian math upbringing, I'm guessing you're expecting close to 800 on the math and something like a 700-ish on the reading writing. Some of the vocab questions were hard. One question you didn't know any of the answer choices? Wow, that's rough. That's painful. That's painful. Lightning, welcome to the stream. Um, if you remember any of the words, I can help define them for you. Maybe you already went on Reddit. Maybe you already kind of figured it all out. But anyway, uh, yeah, that's a tough one. So my hope for you, you know what? I might as well, while I'm here, like, learn how to pronounce your name. Oh, I can't just copy text. It's kind of awkward. It's hard to copy text. All right. How to pronounce it in Pinyin? It's who. It's who. All right, so now I know your last name. So who? I'm gonna say like an American. I'm not gonna keep saying who in the middle of my sentence. But uh, who did you at least have the right prediction for that word for that question? Did you at least have the right prediction for that question? The one that you didn't know any of the answer choices for, because that is painful, man. Um, and I'm going back to earlier. Lightning is saying hi. And but there was Sal was saying 1400 to low 1500s. So you guys are all pretty similar. You guys are all international. I was thinking I'd get more international students at this time, but it looks like I'm just getting a lot of East Asians. But okay, or something. I can't really tell. Um, but anyway, let me know if anyone's from the States. I have Rohan coming in too, so I'll come back to you in a sec. But just do a quick wrap up. It looks like we're getting a lot of people who are getting like pretty high on math, and maybe closer to 700, or just you know, newe, just around 700 um, in on the English. So it seems like you guys are all in roughly similar boats. You might be able to help each other out, honestly, with some tips. Lightning, you're predicting something like 780, 680 for math and English. Okay, we're getting similar numbers here. So everyone's thinking similar things. I heard a lot of people were complaining about the math module 2 on Reddit and also in the Discord server, but seems like no one here is sweating the math too hard right now. So good job, guys. And I do want to say this one at some point. So hey, congratulations, you guys are done with the December SAT. Okay. One of you is asking for some advice, so let me come back around to you. This is Rohan. You're a junior in high school. You scored 1530 on November, your third attempt. You're attempting Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech as a junior, 1530. As a junior South Asian, 1530 with 780 math, 750 reading. Oh, that's pretty good though. On both sides. It's just that that math is just a little weaker. But that's the thing, right? Let's go back to generally just looking at the stats. Carnegie Mellon SAT median scores. And I think you're going to be right under the, oh yeah, there we go. So this is Prep Scholar, so take this with a grain of salt. I don't know if they're getting it directly from the thing, from the source. Now, obviously, a lot of these scores have been inflated ever since things went test optional. But it does look like you're kind of in an awkward place where I think if you want to be in the top 25%, right, in the 75th percentile or whatever, then you would have to have that 800 for math. You are solidly in the, apparently according to this thing, the average. You are in the average for reading and writing, so you're kind of safe in terms of the SAT. I don't think it's worth for you to sacrifice, for example, like your winter break. Like, let's just say that you have like 100 like hours, okay? I don't think it's worth it for you to sacrifice like 80 of those hours during winter break that you could have spent on some sort of contest or some sort of like project, and divert those 80 hours to the SAT. I think that's ridiculous, right? Because you're kind of it's slightly awkward because you're not, as a South Asian, you probably want to be a little bit ahead of the curve with these numbers, but assuming you're South Asian, you probably want to be ahead of the curve with these numbers, but it's not like you're not like, there's nothing glaring in that score that you have. So for me, if I were you, I would probably still take it again, but I would just deprioritize it, as in maybe during winter break, out of those 100 theoretical 100 hours, maybe I would dedicate maybe 10 hours, and I wouldn't sacrifice the big chunk of time that I could spend doing something else with that winter. I would focus on other stuff. Now, there's something to be said about the fact that you're a junior. What this means is actually you don't even have to. You don't really even have to think. You can. The 100 comparison is just useful as an illustration, but actually, from your perspective, you could theoretically just sit it out and wait until like June or even next year. Not next year. I mean, it is next year, but you can wait and sit it out until June or the August test, and just passively, just because you're studying for the APs, you're probably, or even if you're not studying for the APs because you might not be taking AP classes, you're still having like you're choosing like the hard classes at school, right? It might just be worth it for you to just focus on school and just just grind the vocabulary for school, right? Like actually improve your vocabulary through school. Improve your background knowledge through school. Improve your reading comprehension by going and doing the extra, like 10% of effort, where even though you might not even though you're seeing this passage in like your textbook or whatever, and it's not going to be quizzed on, it's not going to be tested on, right? But like it seems like interesting information, and if you and it seems difficult, like it seems like a challenge to read, so you just put the effort in and you actually read the thing to try to freaking understand it, right? All these like little bits of extra effort, they're gonna improve your reading comprehension, your logical reasoning, your rhetorical analysis if you try, so it's going to improve you. And passively what happens is that even without consciously improving, working on the SAT, you'll just have a higher floor, okay, a higher base to work with, so that when it comes around to like the June SAT after the AP tests are over, you can kind of just be like, all right, let's just take a couple practice tests, refresh myself on how the timing and everything works out, take the test, and then just see how you do and see if it got any better, right? So that's probably the way I would approach it if I were you, just because your scores don't. There's no glaring issue with your scores. It's just that it would be nice to have a better score, and because it's a nice to have, I think you don't want to spend too much effort on it, but maybe you could just swing back around and try to scoop up a better score after just building up your sort of internal intelligence just from schoolwork. Okay, so let me know what you think about that piece of advice. I'm just going to catch up on some of the chat here for a sec, because some of you are just helping each other out. So let me try to see if there's an interesting topic here. Oh, okay, the math questions. Okay. Yeah, so that is probably the only advice question I've had so far. I do think we might have some new viewers since we started, so just want to say hi to everyone. If you're here, just say hi and let me know what scores you're predicting. It helps us to get the conversation started. By the way, if you are not here for the SAT specifically, you're just here because it's office hours and you have some non-SAT related question, that's totally fine. You can ask your question as well. By the way, whenever there's not really a conversation topic for me, I might just go back to just doing my word games and just doing my Discord and Reddit sweep. Okay, just kind of scrolling through and catching up on what everyone's been talking about. Because this is office hours, I'm here to just answer your questions. This is like not content. Okay, so here we go. And the short answer to Rohan's question is no, it's not going to hurt your chances of getting into a college if you take it more than a certain, like if you take it 4 times rather than 3 times. Because the way that I forgot the specific details, but basically the way that it's reported is you just report your scores for most of these schools. You self-report the scores, your best scores, And then only after you're accepted and all that stuff do you actually have to send the score reports to prove it, right? Back in my day, I had to send score reports with the application for all my universities. So if I applied to 3 universities, then I would have to send 3 score reports, which is I think like $25 or like I don't know how much it is these days, but at that time it was something like $25 a pop or something. So you'd have to send like it would be $75, right? Something like that. And then if I were, that adds up though. If I'm applying to 10 schools and I had to send 25, I had to send 10 score reports at 25 a pop. So that was $250, right? That adds up. So it's not like that anymore. You can, I think there might be a few outlier schools that want the score report right up front, but most schools are okay with you sending it after you're already accepted, just to prove the numbers that you wrote on the Common App. So yeah, that basically negates the whole issue with I mean, they already accepted you. They're not gonna. It's like, oh, bro, you don't deserve to come to the school because you took the SAT 5 times, not 3 times. Like it's not like they're not gonna do that. That's ridiculous. So you don't have to worry about that. That said, Georgetown is the one school that everyone mentioned. Oh, did you mention Georgetown earlier? Actually, that was kind of a. Oh no, Georgia Tech, different. Yes, so Georgetown is the one school that everyone calls out, and Princeton used to be this way, but I guess they changed their policies where they did want all your scores. So besides Georgetown, it's not really. You don't really have to worry about it. Okay, I am now looking. Guys, I'm just going to welcome you to just ask more questions. I do have about 10 more minutes before I move into the members only stream, which I basically it's just more office hours except for people who support my channel. So I'm going to move into that in about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, don't be shy, just ask them, and then it's okay if your question is poorly worded. I'll just do the best I can to help, and you can add clarifying details if necessary. Meanwhile, I've actually managed to avoid our SAT this whole time, so I probably should like look into it. SAT made me fall in love with the country. That's pretty funny. Wow. People are brutish. Okay. Okay. Hey. Well, brutish. Mike's Homestead has okay. It's such a crazy word. It's a good word. Dude. That's cool. I'm seeing a question. One sec. Do I have any tips for overcoming the 700 to 730 plateau for English? Sai, if you are saying the word plateau, so I'm gonna guess that you've either had multiple practice tests scores, kind of like 3 or more practice test and real test scores in that range. So if that's the case, that you've actually just hit an actual wall, that you're no longer seeing progress, whereas previously you were seeing progress, I think it does get a little bit tricky, because starting around the 700 to 800 range, that's when problems become very specific to the student. Okay, up until 700, it's generally you just do the same basic things that everyone else has to improve, and you'll get to 700-ish. 650 is actually more realistic, but anyway, if you just do the basics, you'll get to 650, and then up until 700, there's probably some general good practice that you can just apply. Starting from 700, it does depend a lot on what your weaknesses are. So if you could share your skills breakdown, which is like the craft and structure and whatever, and tell me where you lost the blocks, then I'll be able to give you better advice. Oh, reading writing module 2. Okay. This is such a stupid joke. Um, okay, this is pretty low. Look at this guy. Stipulate, good word to learn. We haven't had stipulate in the digital SCT before on the practice tests. Kind of unusual or less common word. I hope this person is just not forgetting the word. I hope this person is not thinking like speculate, that stipulate actually did come out. Ascribe, also good. Copious, sporadic. Harbinger, proxy. Indeed versus similar. What? Indeed versus. Oh, this is, yeah, logical transitions. Got it. Similarly. Indeed versus similarly. Let's see. So I would say out of these 6 words, you should know. You really need to know proxy and sporadic. Okay, those are probably the first 2 you must know. After that, I would say ascribe and and then after that, well, copious is easy, ish. But yeah, stipulate, yeah. And then at some point, you probably should just learn stipulate too. The stipulate is not like an insane word. So none of these are like crazy words, but they are harder than you've seen in the. They are harder than you've seen on the digital SCT practice test. Like some of these are a bit harder than you would expect. Okay, so you should know. Yeah, I would say harbinger, stipulate are the ones that you're probably like. If I kind of break them down into tiers, I wouldn't consider them. I would consider them just basically A tier. Harbinger for me, I mean, I don't know. Times have changed. Like people just don't read as many books. So for me, in my time, I feel like Harbinger would have been B tier, but now it's more like A tier. A tier. Ascribe is more like B, awkwardly between B and C. Copious is also awkwardly B and C, and proxy for SAT students, proxy is more like C tier. Like you have to know this. So just be aware of that. If you don't know any of these words, I mean, stipulate is for like setting down a term. We can stipulate a term in a contract. Ascribe is for attributing. I can ascribe a characteristic to a person, right? I can ascribe the virtue of honesty to my friend John or whatever. Copious is like a lot, profuse, a lot, like cornucopia. Cornucopia is the same copious. Copia. Sporadic means scattered, random, kind of splotchy, like not consistent. Harbinger is like what's the word, like a foretelling of something, that's a foreboding, or like something that tells something that's going to happen in the future, like a prophecy kind of. But it's not a prophecy in the sense of like a word or a sentence. A harbinger is something like a sign of something to come. Okay, is more what is more like what it is. And proxy is something that stands in for something else. This is really important in science because you use proxies to measure the thing that you really want to know. Like if I want to measure how much people feel the emotion of love, you can't. There's no such substance in the world. There's no chemical called love, right? So I have to get a proxy for approximating what the love feeling is, and so that could be certain hormones or whatever, right? Like, or like eye dilations or whatever, right? Pupil dilations, like certain things that I measure that act as a proxy to stand in for the thing that I'm actually measuring. So that's really important. Actually, you need to know that one. Do I have any Proxy was the correct answer. Yeah. Okay. Proxies, and that makes sense because the College Board will make it so that even if you see four answer choices and they're all like kind of hard vocabulary, um, it's not. College Board doesn't really tend to want to just reward memorizing vocabulary for vocabulary's sake. I don't think it's bad to just learn vocabulary for vocabulary's sake. I actually think it's good to just improve your vocabulary, right? But College Board doesn't really reward that anymore. It used to. And so it's the word that's like super rare is actually not likely to be the correct word. Oftentimes it is the word that you should have known. Um, and and you just need to figure out the logic, the direction of logic in the passage. And if your prediction matches up with the word that you should have known, then you go for it. If your prediction doesn't match with the words that you do know, then you're just kind of having to play that sort of process elimination game, and you just eliminate all the words that don't match up with your prediction, and so you just choose 50-50 or whatever from the remaining answer choices. Sai, I asked you that question about where your plateau is coming from, and you told me that you're lacking in information, ideas, craft, and structure. Okay, so if that's you, then your grammar is fine, your writing section is fine. You kind of did everything that a good Asian kid could do, like everything that has clear rules, or clear like vocab lists. You already did all that, so good job. Good job. You got the basics out of the way. Now it's time for the harder stuff. The bad news is that the harder stuff is harder to improve, but it's not crazy. And if I were you, aside from like doing straight up like tutoring to like really get into specific, super hyper specific skills, the most general skill that you could probably improve on is just identifying transitions in the passage. And I have several videos where I talk about the idea of the map of the passage on the older SAT where they had long passages, but it's kind of the same idea. You look at a passage, you look at sentences. Let's say it's 5 sentences. Sentences 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like from sentence 1 to sentence 2, what's the logical relationship between those two sentences? Then from 1 and 2 to 3, what's the logical relationship there with 3 with respect to the previous sentence or sentences? And then you read 4, and what's the logical relationship from 4 to 3? And if it helps, you can treat them like logical transition questions. You can think, you can use some of those words from the logical transition questions like however, or as a result, or consequently, or similarly, or conversely, or whatever. And you can just kind of like artificially put them in between the sentences to see how they connect. And just by doing this, you'll actually have a better understanding of, even if you literally have, it's like a topic you've never heard of in your life, and there's a bunch of words that, like really technical terms that come out that you have no idea what's actually talking about. It's like, there's like, I don't know, like multiple types of like asteroids and stars and like whatever, right? It could be like a bunch of really hard, like just stuff that you don't really know anything about. But just by figuring out the logical relationships between the sentences, you'll realize that, oh, I kind of get it. I kind of get what they're trying to say. Even if I don't know the details of what they're trying to say, I still get the shape of what they're trying to say, and that's the thing I would encourage you to practice. If you can't do it in real time, it's fine. Just when you take the test, do it timed. But when your time is up, just don't run straight into the answer key. Okay, just before going to the answer key, go back over the passages and just read them over again. And just do this exercise where you're trying to identify the logical relationships between the sentences. And just doing that will improve your reading. Like most other reading skills that are purely reading skills come like either as a subset of a skill, Okay, like a more specific subskill. It's like a more specific subskill of what I'm talking about right now, or it's kind of adjacent to what I'm talking about right now. So it's probably the best place to start. Once you do that, you'll start kind of, those passages will feel less overwhelming, and you should have better predictions. Okay, you might not be able to get the right answer if the answer choices are really, really hard, but you should still be able to get better predictions once you do that. Let's go back to some of these other questions. Proxy was the correct. Okay, no, we already had that. Prediction was model, as in model train. Unfortunately, I don't know which passage it is, so I can't really help with that. And Kay is saying hi. So, hey, Kay, what's up? So that's it for me today. I do need to move to I need to move on with my schedule today, so I'm gonna go over to the members only stream. If you wanna support my channel, you also get access to the longer office hour stream where I just chat with you longer. It's more private, I guess. And if this video was helpful for you, please hit the like button just to help the YouTube algorithm know that, hey, there's a helpful dude out there talking about SAT. So yes, if you could hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. Okay, guys. If you have further questions for me, by the way, you don't have to just be a member. You can also just join the Discord server. Except for my weekend, basically, I'll just like, hey, AP Tech, thank you very much. You're like my hype man. But yes, there's a Discord server. You can come in and chat with me just throughout the week whenever I'm not super busy or whenever I'm not on break. So you can ask me questions there as well. All right, guys. So thanks for joining. Good luck with your SAT scores, which are going to come out like 2-ish weeks from now. And with winter break, I hope, or with like the finals that are coming up before the winter break, I'm sure you guys are pretty busy studying. So good luck with your studies. Get it. All right, until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.